One thing I wanted to say, and this goes back to like, America being united, is that I do think that, especially because of COVID and how overworked the essential businesses or the essential workers were during COVID, and how so many people died while on the line of duty, bagging up groceries, delivering them and whatnot. I think that there's a unique opportunity here. We have strikes happening in damn near every sector where there's a union. You got the John Deere strike happening right now. You have the IATSE strike, I'm sure you guys are familiar with. Mm-hmm. That is the largest private sector strike in decades. That's a huge deal. It's not like the public sector wildcat strikes that we saw, even though that was like the original, I think, culmination. That was the igniting fire. But this kind of stuff builds class consciousness. It helps people recognize where they are, like what kind of cog they are in the machine. And I do feel excited when I see things like that. When I see, nurses striking as Kaiser Permanente. When I see, like I said, the background employees, like background production crew and IATSE striking against the Motion Picture Association. Like these are wonderful opportunities for people to recognize that, like, we ultimately want the same things.
My kids were in the NICU because they were twins. They were born 2.5 months early. They were in the NICU, and the NICU nurses struck, like all the nurses at Kaiser Permanente, and we had like developed a relationship with them. Mm-hmm. There was a nurse named Sharon and a nurse named Lee that we loved. We would see them every day because we would go in and visit, but they struck, and they brought in other nurses, so that like everything would be taken care of. But they did strike for a day, and it was great. We brought cookies and we went out on the line with them and everything. We went up and visited the kids, and we went out on the line with them and everything. It was great. It was right down the street. Big fan of strikes. I love them.
Yeah,
I love them.
It's good. It doesn't happen enough. It should happen more frequently, I think, and it is happening a lot more frequently. I mean, you see. So that's the last thing I wanted to touch on. Currently, there's a massive bottleneck in the logistics, especially in our supply chain, mm-hmm. when it comes to the docks and when it comes to trucks, for example. Some of that is because of a little bit of Chinese involvement, certainly, but a lot of that is because these people are overworked, they're stressed. The White House, as of yesterday, officially said that the Los Angeles ports, the largest, the most significant port in America, are the Long Beach one and Los Angeles ones, are going to be open 24/7, so that they can meet the demand. Because there's a lot of demand, and now you have these big containers, these vessels, just like sitting there for 10 days,
6 straight miles of them.
And it's wild, and that's why you can't get the nice things that you want to get that you've ordered on the internet, and they're like on back order, or you can't get them delivered because they're just sitting on the fucking dock.
Capitalism is a nightmare, but also I will say my golf clubs are like a month late.
Yeah,
but so what if consumerism slows down a little bit? Like, I would never want someone not to get their needles for diabetes or something. Like,
what about
like your golf clubs? Like, that's a perfect example. I'm not upset for you because I know you have another set.
Walsh.
I know you have another set.
No, they got stolen out of the car.
What?
Just
you
a couple
have no
nights ago.
clubs?
I have no clubs. They got stolen.
You didn't tell me this.
So really, I am currently in the same situation as somebody who needs.
Sam Sports and
he's too tall.
Yeah,
he's too tall. Specials. All right. I have sympathy for your case.
You and the child that needs like insulin.
Yeah,
like when the housing.
Yes,
I agree.
When the housing bubble burst in 2008, was it?
Yeah.
LA became cooler because people weren't flipping houses anymore. And they're like, what's this sandwich place? I guess we're here. Nobody was gaming the market anymore. And people like took root a little bit.
Yeah.
These accidental things. COVID, tiny little breather from Mother Earth, although the supply chain, the diesel burning increased too, but it was a nice reset. So sometimes when these supply chains, I'm not being harsh or like whatever, but it's not terrible if consumerism slows down a little bit.
Yeah. I know it's terrible.
Do you know what I mean?
For
the golf, someone who doesn't have their golf clubs, I apologize. And
yes,
I'd like to start a charity if we can, like,
have people
maybe
donate. A GoFundMe for you.
Like a GoFundMe for me.
Hey kids, go golf.
Well, no,
kids,
it has to
go
be clubs.
golfing.
So
America.
Hey kids. Yeah. Hey, exclamation point.
We're gonna get
kids.
this. We're gonna get it.
So the thing I was gonna say though is like that on the labor side, I think that
Would those be the people building the golf clubs?
what
Would those be the people building and forging?
I've moved beyond the golf.
Well,
club.
the
Okay.
people, like, for
I
example,
haven't, 'cause I'm still
see
waiting.
that.
the people, and I've talked to in IATSE, like from doing shows, like
Yeah.
that, it's the backsliding. Like they're getting abused on their turnarounds. They're getting abused on their
Yeah.
penalties.
Yep.
They're being asked to forego days off.
Yeah.
It's like resetting the foundation that's there on the books, basically, for
Yeah.
these like union agreements. It's the backsliding they have to get right first, and then hopefully they can get a little more piece
Yeah.
of what everyone's making, I guess.
This is
Absolutely.
This is my thought about like the conversation around going back to the office after COVID. Some people saying we should never do that, and some people saying like, oh, absolutely, we should never do it. And there's that part of me. It's like, well, I don't know. I actually do. There is a little part of me that thinks that face-to-face communication is good,
Oh yeah.
Yes.
but also I think there might be like when people are like, I'm never going back in there. I feel like there's a little bit of a missed opportunity to say, if you're telling me that I can't do my job unless I'm in there, I would like to claw back the free time that you have taken from me by saying that I need to answer emails at 10 p.m.
Yeah.
Like if you're saying that I have to be in there to do this job, then I will come in at 9 and I will leave at 5. And that is my work day because I can't do it from home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there is that little part of me that thinks, and just like if you're out there and you're like making golf clubs, just like make sure that like do whatever you need to do to make them. Like I fully support
Especially
work
the tall
nights,
ones
work
that are hanging.
weekends,
especially
doesn't
like,
matter.
Nights,
Forego
weekends.
your own personal happiness
Absolutely.
to get these clubs
Yes.
out.
Yeah,
And I'm
I
not
agree.
saying like if they're like trying to like talking about unionizing and you feel like that might delay those golf clubs being
Then don't
made,
do it.
don't
After
do
the
it.
clubs
That's like
are
the
made,
one
you're
time.
saying start the union after your clubs are made.
after my clubs are made.
I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah.
You'll know they're like the long ones.
Well,
So just once those are out the door, be like, cool.
Then it's union.
your
time.
joking point of view is still more reasonable and understandable, despite the fact that you're joking, than like what I perceive America is going to look like in a couple months when the holiday season comes around and people can't get their treats. And I do feel like
Jeez.
the American
Not the worst
identity,
thing in the world.
the American identity as a consequence of like our alienation from our labor and as a consequence of not having like a sense of community,
Yeah.
is increasingly more divided, increasingly more alienated. So we find a sense of community in our consumption. That's why you got
Yes.
Marvel fans
Yes.
that are, like,
Yes.
oh my God, I'm Team Marvel, like fuck you. That's why you got DC fans, stuff like that. And people
Why
attach.
why are we rooting for this? Like this
Yeah.
is like why are you
Why are we rooting for this $1 trillion fucking
Yes.
franchise?
It's not they're not bad.
Yeah.
They're not
But it's just entertainment.
yeah.
But consumption is the primary the primary identifier, a cultural signifier for
Listen, I
American
don't like your
citizens.
swipe that you took at Christmas because every who down in Whoville knows that Christmas came without presents. It came
Yeah.
without trees. It came. It came.
I'm
Yeah.
just
No matter what the Grinch did.
the point I'm trying to
Yeah.
make though is that like the holiday season is consumption overdrive, and if we kind of fuck that up, that's going to cause a lot of problems for a lot of the small business owners and a lot of the lumpen proles per se, like the reactionary working class folks that are like,
Yep.
I can't get my fucking treats. And we saw this in the beginning of
I still
COVID
can't
as
get a
well.
motherfucking PlayStation.
Yeah, we saw this in the beginning of COVID. Like a lot of the Republicans that were, leading mass demonstrations, heavily armed, mind you, were not doing it because they were like, I want to get back to work. They were doing it because they wanted to get fucking haircuts. They
Yeah.
were doing it because they wanted their treats. Because whether we directly recognize it or not, are signing off on all of the struggles that everybody faces and all of the collective collective death and destruction that we cause overseas and internally to our fellow citizens, as long as you can get $5 jalapeno poppers. Okay.
Mhm.
But
So
that's,
when you can't get that, everything falls apart.
you're right.
I'm saying it, dude.